policing the police every single day, and doing what the Charlotte County Sun newspaper and local TV stations won't do every single day.
Hey, Charlotte County COPWATCH. Andrew Sheets, reporter for COPWATCH for 8 years and now running Sheets for Sheriff. And I got to use a special browser just to find this shit on LEOAFFAIRS for Charlotte County. This is where they gossip. Support for Fort Lauderdale officer. And then you click on it, and there's a thing in here. We're raising money because he did something bad, and now they're being sued by Ben Crump is going to kick their ass. Police officer in need. He was just shooting at protesters that were peaceful, you fucking moron. So I don't know which cop it is. There's one cop that illegally pushed the lady over that was kneeling, doing nothing. And then another one freaking shot the lady in the face with a rubber bullet. Then the police chief was fired. I don't know which one it is. They all fucked up so bad, it's not even stupid. So what a bunch of shit, man. Just, this is why people are sick of it. So as I've stated, we're on TikTok time. Now I can finish this. So yeah, this is insane. I have to use a special internet browser just to see this page because I've exposed so much shit on these LEOAFFAIRS chat rooms are unbelievable. You can go in here, you can look up any police agency or sheriff across the country. You can see all their fucking gossip, and it's a free-for-all. Anybody can get in here anonymously. I highly recommend it. So apparently, I've exposed their shit so much and called them out so much, I have to use a special browser just to get in here. So like I said, I found this support for Fort Lauderdale, and it says GoFundMe, and then we go to the GoFundMe. We were just, you know, fucking with a bunch of peaceful protesters, shooting tear gas and rubber bullets and pushing them over when they weren't doing anything, and wow, man, you guys are fucked. Shot a rubber bullet at a face, totally illegal. This person wasn't even involved. Just walking with the sign. And you shot the wrong person. She's already a writer, activist, well-known, big history on the background, and I'll attach the videos. But yeah, look at this. Ben Crump has got it. He's gonna kick your ass. You guys are totally out of control. And like I stated, gee, which fucking person is the one that got in trouble here? Because there's a bunch of people that fucked up here. There's a cop that pushed over somebody that was just kneeling. Another cop shot the rubber bullet, hit her in the face. More cops were on their own body camera video joking about, yeah, I just fucked this person up and I just fucked that person up. And it was a peaceful protest. You guys are idiots. And then the police chief didn't handle it right, so now he's gone. So which cop is it? Just tell me, please, which one did the right thing? I think you all fucked up and you're going to pay. And this is why people are standing up. This is why I'm running for sheriff, because this is out of control. This is not freedom. This is socialist fascism, and it's got to stop.
What is that for? Ah, look at her! She's hurt! She's hurt! She's bleeding! Come on, come on, come on! You got her in the head! Come on, come on, get her, get her! Get her in the head! Call 911, call it! Hey, call the ambulance, call 911, please.
Continue to use on, they had the shields. It's like they were prepared for war. So I couldn't get a good look at them. When they were in that line, they were in this protective gear and just prepared for battle. I just felt pressure That's all. I knew I was hit with something, and I didn't know if I was possibly hit with, like you said, maybe someone was throwing something and I got hit with it. And I didn't realize, because after I was hit, it just, things kind of slowed down, and I saw people running around me frantic, and I fell to the ground. But it wasn't until people started to try to lift me up and I saw there were pools of blood on the ground, and people were saying, she's been shot, she's been shot. So even in the midst of that, I'm still not really understanding, because I'm saying, hey, grab my phone, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe people are exaggerating, because I really don't think I was shot while I'm here walking away, going to go for someone to help me from the tear gas. And it wasn't until I got in the car, and the one individual, there was a young man that continued to use a shirt or something to kind of put pressure on the wound, and I saw all the blood in the car, and I'm like, was I shot? And the guy said, yes, you were shot. And I began to cry, because I'm like, first of all, I don't know where my family is. My friend is separated from me, and I'm bleeding all over this person's car, and I'm starting to apologize to them, and he's like, you're fine, we got to get you to a hospital. And they didn't care about anything. They weren't concerned about anything but getting me to the hospital. And they were looking and searching, and we found the hospital, and they grabbed me out of the car, and they carried me, and they told the nurses and ran around to the front and saying, get someone over here to help me. And then even after I was there for probably an hour, they were still there waiting to make sure that I was okay. So I realized eventually, but I was still more focused on the fact that these strangers are like helping me.
Just got this new information about the officer in Fort Lauderdale who was seen on camera shoving the protester. What's happening out there, Jeff?
Well, Local 10 News was the first to show you that video yesterday at about 8 o'clock when we obtained it from a protester who witnessed the entire thing. And now the city of Fort Lauderdale, now the Fort Lauderdale Police Department taking action against one of its officers. And we can identify that officer to you right now as Officer Stephen Poherence. He is suspended with pay, relieved of duty, as they call it, while this investigation goes on. Let's roll the video and show you the video that's at the center of this entire issue. You will see in that video a protester basically on her knees. You will see Officer Poherence walk by her and basically push her in the head. You will then see another officer by the name of Crystal Smith. She is not a ranking officer, not a sergeant or a lieutenant. Officer Smith saw what happened, was apparently so disturbed by it that she actually pushed Officer Stephen Poherence away. And as you see in that video, the rocks, the bottles start being thrown at officers, and this is what set off a very tense exchange that lasted for hours between police officers and the protesters here. Now, I must say that prior to this, police were already on edge because several of their police cars were damaged and several officers were surrounded by some of these protesters, the officers by themselves, while the protesters were throwing rocks at the police cars. So there was a tense scene before Officer Poherence apparently pushed that woman's head. Nonetheless, the police chief here in Fort Lauderdale just wrapped up a news conference 5 minutes ago, and here is what he had to say.
That officer has been removed from any contact with the public. He is relieved from duty. Basically, while this matter is investigated, it is going to be investigated first and foremost to see if any Florida statutes were violated. In other words, a criminal investigation is going to commence that the Florida Department of Law Enforcement is going to do. It's not unusual in a case of police use of force, and we agree, and the state attorney agrees that in this circumstance, especially for transparency and complete objectivity, that the Florida Department of Law Enforcement conduct the investigation into whether our officer violated any criminal statutes.
Officer Perherence has been a police officer in the city of Fort Lauderdale since October 2016. Prior to that, we're told he was with the Florida Highway Patrol. And again, the officer who pushed her fellow officer away from the protester, not liking what she saw, is identified as Officer Crystal Smith of the Fort Lauderdale Police Department. The FDLE is not the only investigative agency on this. We're told after that investigation is complete, the city of Fort Lauderdale, the Fort Lauderdale Police Department, will also do an administrative investigation as well. But right now, Officer Stephen Perherence is not here at the department. The chief says he is home. That is the very latest from Fort Lauderdale. Jeff Wines here, Local 10 News.
Hey, stand by. Hold on, I'm leaking like a motherfucker. Yeah, I'm just leaking. It's fine, I'm leaking like a motherfucker. The whole mask is up, dude. It's getting on your head backwards. Fix it. I'm good. Yeah, rocked and bottle, bro. Fired 6, and I only got 6 impact left. Okay. I have a lot of gas, though. What they got? We have somebody clearing up the overhead? Yes, we're sending them now. Where? Right here. What's that? Throw it back. If you pick us in the gas, we'll pop us out. If they pick up the gas, right now. Yeah, I'm on standby. Yes. I just got the hit the one gun the gas. I'm like, oh no, but what disaster.
And a new video this morning captures Fort Lauderdale police officers apparently laughing and celebrating after shooting protesters with rubber bullets. This happened during the police brutality protests in May. Fort Lauderdale police posted the video on its official YouTube channel in response to a story by our news partners at the Miami Herald. The video, which was taken from the body camera of a detective, Zachary Barrow, shows officers firing tear gas and rubber bullets at protesters after protesters began throwing things at the officers. At one point, another officer is heard asking Barrow if his body camera is off. Barrow tells the other officer that his camera is on standby mode and not recording, and that's when the two began laughing and joking about shooting protesters. The Fort Lauderdale Police Department sent a tweet last night saying their officers were under attack by protesters. They also say the video released by the Herald does not tell the full story. They are reviewing 8,000 minutes of video and expect it to be done in next month.
can't even breathe anymore. Really does burn.
Her eye socket. She could file a lawsuit.
I'm hoping very soon that I can meet with the city of Fort Lauderdale again to understand what happened, understand the instructions that were given.
And before this new policy change in Fort Lauderdale, a South Florida woman was hit by a rubber bullet during a protest. It fractured her eye socket. She could file a lawsuit against the police department, but first, she wants to meet with them to know how something like this could be prevented in the future. NBC6's Phil Prazen spoke to her earlier today, joins us live now from Fort Lauderdale with her story. Phil?
Well, LaToya Ratliff still doesn't remember very much about what happened right here in downtown Fort Lauderdale. She doesn't remember, and she doesn't know which officer shot her and hit her with that foam baton. That's the official name of what's commonly known as a rubber bullet, and she doesn't know why it happened. You can see quite a bit of space between protesters and Fort Lauderdale police, then a crack and a scream. People ran to her as she bled, put her in a car, and drove her to the hospital. More than a week later, she doesn't know how long the road to recovery will be.
We're going to just do whatever it takes for me to get back as healthy as possible. And right now, I'm just taking it day by day, appointment by appointment. And I don't want to worry about the cost because recovery is the most important thing.
She took to the streets to protest against the killing of George Floyd in Minnesota and to call for police reforms here in South Florida. A rubber bullet is classified as less lethal, but policy states officers should not aim for the head or neck. Police started an internal affairs investigation but have not released the name of the officer. A spokeswoman for Fort Lauderdale Police tells NBC6 the two legal teams are talking about the next steps. Ratliff tells me she wants to work with the city and police leaders to implement change.
If there are protests, that this will be a safe environment for the protesters and not something where people are going to have to be concerned that they're going to come out and potentially be in danger.
Mayor of Fort Lauderdale, Dean Trentalis, called what happened to her reprehensible, saying people should not fear police. He said on the radio Thursday he would not go as far as defunding the department, but supports talking about change in policy and practice. There's a commission meeting on the topic next week. Now, Ratliff plans to stay involved with the quest for racial justice. Her aunt was famed women's rights activist Fannie Lou Hamer. There is a GoFundMe page out there, but her legal team tells me that it is a fraud. It is not them. They are not asking for money. Reporting live in Fort Lauderdale, Phil Prazen, NBC6 News.
Her bullet. She was out protesting in Fort. Also on 7 this morning, a woman taking her story to Congress after she says an officer shot her in the head with a rubber bullet. She was out protesting in Fort Lauderdale when it happened, and now, as 7's Nicole Ensalada reports, she's giving a tough testimony as she continues her calls for change.
It's the moment a woman is hit by what appears to be a police-fired rubber bullet.
I will forever be scarred by the Fort Lauderdale police shooting me in the head on May 31st.
LaToya Ratliff recounted that moment as she took part in a congressional hearing Monday, telling lawmakers what happened to her shouldn't happen to anyone.
While merely exercising my First Amendment right to speak out against police brutality, I became the type of victim that I was there to support.
The protesters took to the streets of downtown Fort Lauderdale to demonstrate against what happened to George Floyd. Ratliff says it was peaceful until an officer shoved a kneeling woman.
It was never anything from the individuals that attended the rally. It was never them saying, we want to bring violence to this administration.
Officer Stephen Poheran, seen shoving the woman, is now on administrative leave. At one point, something is splattered onto an officer's shield, the chaos lasting into the early evening. Here is the moment again where Ratliff is hit. She is on the left side carrying a sign under her arm. No action has been taken against the officer involved here. The chief releasing this statement. Ms. Ratliff has given numerous media interviews and has made many public statements, but has yet to meet with us. Our officers reached out to her numerous times after the incident and later extended the invitation through Ms. Ratliff's attorneys. She says she welcomes the conversation.
If you want to work together to make needed reforms, I'm ready to sit down and talk. But if you think you're going to silence me with rubber bullets or attempt to intimidate me through statements to the press, you've thought wrong.
Now, while her lawyers are reviewing all of this body cam footage, a spokesman for LaToya says she would like to have a formal apology from the police department. Reporting in Fort Lauderdale, Nicole Insalata for Today in Florida.
Stun grenades and protesters armed with...
So today I stand here in support of the city manager's decision to make the change of leadership in the police department.
Rick Maglione was removed as chief of the embattled Fort Lauderdale Police Department, an agency rocked in recent weeks by what some perceive as missteps by its top leader, including a 4th of July message that criticized protesters and hailed its officers as heroes. Maglione will stay on with the department in another role. A May 31st protest against police brutality in downtown Fort Lauderdale devolved into a hectic melee between officers bristling with long guns, gas masks, and stun grenades, and protesters armed with chants, slogans, and water bottles. Body camera footage obtained by the South Florida Sun-Sentinel shows officers aiming at protesters who had their hands up. Some officers seemed to revel in the act of shooting at protesters.
Yeah, I'm on standby. You see me yeah. I just got the one hit the only gun the gas. I'm like, oh no, but if you pick up the gas, I'll pop his ass.
The department's actions also came under scrutiny because one of its officers was recorded shoving a kneeling protester that day. On July 4th, Maglione sent out a statement defending his officers and complaining that, quote, law enforcement as a whole has been unfairly vilified. Assistant Chief Karen Dietrich will serve as interim chief while the city conducts a search for a new police chief.
Hey, Charlotte County, this is Charlotte County COPWATCH. I am using any video here with under fair use if you have criticism, reporting, teaching, etc. And please donate. I do not make money from YouTube, and there are different ways to donate in the video links. Thanks.